What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Jedi Jive. My name is Mike, and joining me again for the Wandavision reaction series is my sister Jenny.
Hey, kitty cats.
So, Wandavision has been ramping up every week, getting a little crazier. We had a decade-to-decade style change for every episode. Yeah. But if you noticed a couple times, the aspect ratio would go back to, modern-day style.
Yeah.
And that would sort of indicate, okay, we're, looking at this from the perspective of Monica Rambeau and Sword, or we're outside the Hex.
Yeah.
And if you noticed at the end of the last episode, when we went into Agnes's or Agatha Harkness's basement, we got back to, the normal reality-style thing. So I have a feeling the decade-to-decade thing is over now, and we're going to be moving into more from the perspective of people outside the Hex.
Yeah,
and that kind of
from
thing.
A sort of meta perspective, that just every time the construct loses control a little bit, we get more chaos thrown into the mix. We're losing some of that predetermined structure, that decade to decade structure, because things are becoming more chaotic and less easy to orchestrate.
So yeah, and in addition to Agatha Harkness, even though we all knew that's what was coming, that's who she was.
No surprise there.
It was hidden in plain sight. But in addition to her being revealed, we got that little mid-credit scene at the end where Pietro shows up, where Monica's snooping, and the question now is Pietro, or is Pietro a witch in disguise, or is he more than just being controlled by Agnes? Because we know she's pulling the strings. But
is something else going on, or is he just a normal guy under a spell?
I kind of feel like this episode's going to start right where that mid scene left off.
I would guess so, but we'll find out.
Because I don't know, he didn't seem threatening. He just seemed kind of Snooper's going to say.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Guy.
We'll see what happens. We don't know who the big bad of the show is going to be. If it's going to just stay Agatha Harkness, or if we're going to be introduced to some other nefarious characters.
Still crossing my fingers for Mephisto.
You can see in the thumbnail that this episode says 47 minutes, which is 10 minutes longer than the other one. So hopefully we're going to get a little bit more meat in this episode, and we'll be able to break it down afterwards.
I want to dive in. Let's go.
All right, let's go.
Lovely to finally meet you, dear.
So do you think she ate Billy and Tommy already? I hope not.
Oh, we're going back to Salem.
Nice.
We're going to get a little Agatha Harkness origin story here.
Awesome.
You have betrayed your coven. I did not break your rules. They simply bent to my power. I cannot control it. Mother!
It's her mother. Harsh, man.
Yikes. Uh-oh.
She's the most powerful witch of them all.
Oh my goodness.
Ouch.
She's drained their life force, basically. Okay, Wanda might be in trouble a little bit.
Agatha's had,
she just took out a whole
300
coven.
years to practice.
Yeah. Oh, there's the brooch.
Her cameo.
Wow, no remorse either. She's not even crying or anything. She doesn't care.
She does look shocked to meet the real us, doesn't she?
Where are my children?
Where are my children?
Your magic's no good here.
Oof.
Didn't you notice? Basic protection spell? How do you not know the fundamentals?
Okay.
Nobody ever taught her.
All those costumes and hairstyles. Waiting for you to reveal your true self. I got close with fake Pietro.
Pietro.
It was you.
A Cristallo possession.
Okay.
Since your real brother's body is on another continent.
All right. Just answered a couple questions for
Full of
us.
holes.
Cicada.
Tenio and patio.
Uh-oh.
Mind control. A classic. Mickey?
Well, Harry Potter vibes here.
Of course, there's transmutation. Years of study to achieve even the smallest convincing illusion. But Westview through your lens, Wanda.
You're even running illusions miles away at the edge of town. Magic on autopilot.
What's your secret, sister?
my god.
Banicula.
I need you to tell me how you did this.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. She's been trying to get information out of her the whole time, and now she's just straight up asking.
But you'd rather fall apart than face your truth. But it's time to look at some real reruns.
Real reruns.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it said she was going to show her her past.
She's going to force her to relive her worst experiences, maybe. Bewitched.
Yeah.
I Love Lucy, Malcolm in the Middle. It's all the shows
Yeah.
that she saw as a child that have informed her design choices. If this is the night that the bomb hits, that means that all of these design choices she's making aren't just like a memory from her childhood.
Yeah.
They're the source of her pain.
Yeah.
Like the original
trauma.
source of her trauma.
Yeah.
So many moments that are like shot for shot the same. Wow. Thank you, Stark Industries.
Wanda, tune in.
It's the beeping red light. The bomb that didn't go
Yeah,
off.
the toaster commercial.
The toaster commercial,
Yeah.
the bomb that didn't go off. They were huddled there for days, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
By the end of the episode, you realize it was all a bad dream. None of it was real.
We were trapped.
For how long?
2 days.
So what I see here is a baby witch obsessed with sitcoms and years of therapy ahead of her.
Where'd you get the big guns, Wanda?
Does Agatha not know about
The Infinity Stones.
Strucker and the Infinity Stones?
Yeah.
The only way forward is back.
So this is Von Strucker's lab.
Yep.
There's Loki's
The
scepter.
scepter.
And she's watching the Brady Bunch here.
So, little orphan Wanda got up close and personal with an infinity stone that amplified what otherwise would have died on the vine.
So she already had witch potential, but she might not have realized it without the power of the Infinity Stone.
So where are we now?
The Avengers compound. It was the first home Vision and I ever shared.
Now she's watching rather than participating in the memory?
It is funny because of the grievous injury the man just suffered.
No, he's not really injured. It's not that kind of show.
But this is...
The only thing that would bring me comfort is seeing him again.
I've always been alone, so I don't feel the lack. It's all I've ever known. I've never experienced loss because I've never had a loved one to lose. But what is grief, if not love persevering?
Deep thoughts for a robot man.
Sorry, pardon.
No, it was funny.
Yes, it was very funny, wasn't it?
Catherine Hahn's like boring.
That's almost like the scene in Edward Scissorhands where he tells him the joke and teaches him how to laugh at a joke.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful.
Parents dead, brother dead, Vision dead. What happened when he wasn't there to pull you back from the darkness?
I can't do this anymore.
Come on,
Because I
Wanda.
want it.
Tell me how you did it.
I wanted him back.
Sword.
He deserves a funeral, at least. I deserve it.
Give the lady what she wants.
Mm-hmm.
Through the doors, down the hall,
Right.
2 lefts and a right.
Somebody knew.
Yeah.
One moment, I have to buzz you in.
I got it.
It's casual. I got this.
Wanda Maximoff. It's an honor to meet you.
Who are you?
Director Tyler Hayward. I understand you're here to see the Vision.
Well, I'm his next of kin.
I understand. Come with me.
He's in pieces.
Shady dude. What is all of that? Massive server?
The supercomputers,
Yeah. Oh. Oh, man.
Oof.
It's really amazing how they've taken, like, you know, wires and metal and turned it into a form of body horror.
Yeah, yeah.
What are you doing?
We're dismantling the most sophisticated sentient weapon ever made.
Vision's not a weapon. You can't do this.
In fact, it is our legal and ethical obligation.
I don't believe you.
Nice try, dude.
I cannot allow you to take $3 billion worth of vibranium just to put it in the ground.
That's closer to the real truth.
He's all I have.
He isn't yours.
He is now.
Fall back. Let her see for herself.
Okay.
This is the real Westview.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's Herb.
That's Herb, yeah. Dottie's husband.
Yeah.
Learned piano. His grandmother's piano got nixed.
There's Mrs. Hart.
Yeah. Oh, it's the mailman.
Yeah. So he is doing something similar to his original job. He's just delivering something else.
Maybe he isn't Ralph. We'll see.
To grow old.
Okay, so Vision bought the property for
Oh,
them.
man. It's actually supposed to be their dream house. Wow, that's heavy.
Yeah.
She literally built their dream house. Well, now we know why she's here.
She didn't just do it for herself, though. It was Vision's vision.
Yeah.
So she's fulfilling his vision.
Absolutely.
Not just hers, yeah. Yeah, okay.
That's really heavy.
Here's where she goes hex on everybody. Yes! Oh, boy.
Oh, she's manifesting that trauma, baby.
Nice. Oh.
Man, wow.
Oh, okay. Oh, shit.
Welcome home.
And it's TV night.
It's the production set.
And she's on a soundstage. Man.
Bravo!
The kids again. Ooh.
Brutal.
I know what you are. You have no idea how dangerous you are. You're supposed to be a myth, a being capable of spontaneous creation. This is chaos magic, Wanda. And that makes you the Scarlet Witch.
Yes! Nice.
Oh!
Cool, man. That's a cool way to drop the name.
Whew.
So Agatha Harkness says her name. All right. We learned our lesson last week. We're going to look through for some extra scenes here. Just in case. Yes.
Yep.
And we have one. All right.
Okay.
Let's check it out.
So we're back with sword people
Hayward.
outside the hex.
Oh, the launch.
Yeah. And now we're going to find out what it is they're launching.
Oh, they didn't rebuild Vision, did they?
We took this thing apart and put it back together again 1,000,000 times.
Vision versus Vision.
Tried every type of power supply under the sun. When all we needed was a little energy directly from the source.
Ready, sir.
It's evil Vision. Oh, does this character have a name? Oh. Oh, crap.
OMG.
Okay.
What?
Yikes. Oh my god. Make sure there's not another scene. Alright, good. Dang, dude.
Okay, dude. I don't even know where to start.
Whew. I mean, obviously, that new Vision, there was a brand new rebuilt Vision, does not have an Infinity Stone.
Yeah, and I mean, that's, for all
They can't
intents and
duplicate
purposes, that's not Vision. as much as like consciousness is personhood, that's not vision. That's just a
that's
body.
a sentient weapon.
That's a sentient weapon.
Yeah,
the potential to have this amazing like Vision versus Vision, Paul Bettany versus Paul Bettany mind battle is awesome. I mean, that would be super cool to look at.
Yeah.
So potentially we're going to see that.
Vision versus Vision. Yeah, that could go a lot of different ways. I mean.
So we had a lot of information that we got this week. So we got like confirmation about what's going on with Pietro.
Mm-hmm.
He is an alternate reality Pietro. He's under a spell. He's not dead.
Yeah.
Catherine Hahn confirmed, like, couldn't use your brother's body. It's in Sokovia full of holes.
Yeah.
So
that's why we saw even Evan Peters' version showed like the corpse with the holes in it.
That was her having a PTSD flashback, right?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Not
still unclear how he got here. Like, did she bring him?
Yes, that's
via the Nexus, or
still might just be Billy.
It could. Yeah, there's like any number of explanations.
She just said Pietro, fake Pietro.
Fake Pietro. It sounds like that was kind of like an there was a she took an opportunity that was available to her, but how he got there in the first place. And who brought him is still unclear.
This week was actually one of like the slower paced episodes of all the episodes. It was definitely more, since like I predicted correctly, like we kind of exited the decade to decade thing, obviously, because we reached the present, and now this was more just sort of a dramatic. It was a little bit more drawn out, a little bit more emotion, a lot more scenes of like less dialogue and more just like emotion on Wanda's face, that kind of stuff. There was the pacing came down a little bit, which is funny because this is the second to last episode. I was almost anticipating
something very interesting about that is that it was more of a cinematic energy.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening. We're about to leave the sitcom world of WandaVision and move into the cinematic world of Doctor Strange directly, which is, a feature-length film.
Yeah.
It's got, it's going to have a cinematic aspect ratio. It's going to have all those technical and sort of aesthetic aspects that you expect out of a film. So we're really making a transition from the TV world into the film world.
Yeah.
And I mean, a lot of the scenes that we saw during her Ghost of Christmas Past journey with Catherine Hahn was just sort of additional information or additional stuff that we haven't seen from storylines that we're aware of. Like, we're aware of the Stark bomb that killed her parents, but we've never seen it happen before.
Yeah.
Or we're aware that she was experimented on with the Chitauri scepter, but that whole weird, explosion of energy and, vision of whatever that figure was that she had. And by the way, what was that figure? What was the figure she saw floating towards her when she was in the lab?
Oh, I thought that was just the Infinity Stone itself.
Maybe that's what that is. I don't know. I wasn't sure, but
Oh, what was really interesting was the opening scene with Agatha Harkness and her coven and her mother. And I think that's important though, because it kind of demonstrated how Agatha Harkness is evidently already an uber powerful witch.
Yeah.
So much so that she took out her entire coven when they had her on the stake tied up. She took, and her mother tried to be her own mother tried to take her out, and then she just took her mother out.
This is something I actually found really interesting.
And she wants to be even more powerful, and Wanda's got that title right now.
She's
wants
it.
She's
like, I want.
I'm already.
She put Wanda through this form of trauma porn, making her not only observe
trauma porn. Good.
I didn't make that up. I'm not the first person to say that. I wish I could claim that. I can't. But she did. I mean, she not only made her watch it, but in most of those scenes, minus the romantic scene, everything else she made her experience it again herself, because she wants to feed on her pain.
Yeah.
I mean, it's super dark. She wants the power born of trauma, born of pain.
She was also specifically looking for the specific moment that Wanda went nuclear.
When did you blow up? When did this hex stuff start? Which is a question we've had. How did this all start? And now we found out.
Oh wait, before it was she became her younger self, but in this part of it, she's actually watching herself. And to me, I took that as at the beginning of what Agnes was doing, or what Agatha Harkness was doing, was she was actually forcing Wanda to see shit, because she had her under her her own little spell, and it was the Ghost of Christmas Past stuff. Right. She was forcing her to see her past.
They can't see you.
But then Wanda started to sort of take over and live her own she started to take the lead there, and Agnes was just sort of following her, like, come on, show me already, you know?
Yeah.
So Wanda, the reason she was viewing herself is because
Agatha's getting increasingly frustrated that she's not getting the answers she wants. And I'm not sure I buy her whole, I didn't mean to, my powers got away from me. I'm not sure I buy that. I think she maybe on purpose took out her entire coven
she did, but
to claim their power as her own.
She gave them, she kind of pleaded, she was like, teach me how to control it. I know,
right.
I mean, because that's similar to Wanda, where, you know, to me, I was like, oh, this is kind of just hinting at, like, Agatha as, like, a mentor
I
figure
thought
to
so,
Wanda.
too,
Yeah,
for a
like,
minute. I was like, this is
she wants
setting
to
up a
teach her how to
dynamic where
control
she'll teach her the way her mother never taught her, and now she'll teach Wanda. And I mean, that's still a possibility.
Yeah.
But I'm also not sure I buy her whole sort of damsel in distress, I didn't mean to do it thing. I think she knew exactly what she was doing. I think she wanted all the other witches' power for herself. I think she wanted her mother's power and that enchanted brooch or whatever it is. And I think, like, she's just a bad witch.
Yeah, she's a wicked witch.
She's
and now,
a wicked witch.
Now, like, we didn't know where Billy and Tommy were. Now she legitimately has
revealed them.
She has them all tied up and is threatening to kill them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're assuming Wanda's motivations now lie entirely in, like, saving her children. And, you know, that obviously she's capable of doing bad things. Not because she's bad, but because she's too powerful to you know, not do bad things. So, like, in an effort to preserve Billy and Tommy or to save Billy and Tommy, she could potentially...
This really gives us...
Go more towards where Agatha wants her to go.
Again, like, A+ to Marvel for complex, three-dimensional female characters, but it gives us two different versions of a bad witch. It gives us a bad witch who's just bad. She's power hungry. She's wicked. She cackles. Ha 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 ha. I laugh at your pain.
Yeah.
And then we have a bad witch in Wanda who's absolutely been driven to extremes by circumstance, who is manifesting her trauma in the form of dangerous magic. But, you know, potentially there's still hope for her because she's a good person at heart. That sounds schmaltzy, but I think that's literally what we're seeing. And so we're seeing how there's this, you know, this spectrum of possibilities. There's sort of a range of possibilities of why people do bad things. And it could just be because you're an old school wicked witch, and it could be because you're working through some shit.
Yeah, this isn't, and obviously, like, it's set up now so that, like, this final episode, if that's what it is, isn't necessarily just like, oh, here's the good side and here's the bad side. Because even somebody like Hayward, like, to be perfectly honest, we still haven't confirmed that he actually is, like, a bad guy, more so than he is just, like, his motives are different than Wanda's motives are different than, you know, Monica's motives, or, you know, everybody, like, Hayward doesn't have any personal connection to Billy and Tommy, so it's not gonna be part of his motivation to help save them from dying. He just wants to, you know, get the sentient weapon.
Here's the thing, I guess she didn't steal the body. We saw her, the video that Hayward showed the rest of the Sword People was her busting through the window.
I responded to that kind of like, oh, she must have gone back at another date.
But then we saw her manifest like...
Yeah, you're right. She just like created
She created him out of nothing, so she didn't... I mean, because she touched the head and she said, I can't feel you, like he's not there.
So wait, what was that security footage of then?
I think maybe was that just her busting into the lab? I don't think we saw her physically...
No, because when we saw that scene here, she like broke the glass, and then Hayward was like, "No, let her look."
Yeah, let her go.
Let her walked up and did it. It didn't, because that security footage looked like it was like a hostile takeover.
Right, but I don't think I mean, I could be
maybe it was
completely
fake
wrong
footage
here.
That he played.
Folks will tell me if I'm misremembering, but I don't think the little security footage ever showed her physically absconding.
I guess not.
With the body, and so the question is like, why did Hayward lie about that?
I don't know.
Did he lie? Maybe we're wrong. I don't know. She touched the body. He wasn't there. She realized that's not him. Mm-hmm. That's just metal and wires. And then she created this, you know, her trauma created this thing. Her explosion of magical pain energy created this brand new Vision with no memory of the past, because that's why he has no memory of the past, not just because his drive was wiped, but because it's not him. He's a brand new baby Vision.
Yeah.
So the question is, like, why did Hayward lie to Monica and Darcy? Why did he say, oh, and everybody else, whatever, like, she stole the body? Mm. Why does he need them to believe that?
Yeah. But also, we still don't know whether the artificially created Vision has a legitimate, like, duplicate Infinity Stone in his head or not. If that's like because
we don't know what that is, or is he just like a vibranium?
In Wanda's like memory,
man, did
like
they use those pieces to like create the new Vision?
They must have.
That I mean, that's my impression is that she did not take that body. That they used that body to build. You know,
this whole episode was like Wanda and Agatha Harkness doing the like memory stuff. There was no Pietro this episode. There was no Monica Rambeau,
no Wu,
no Darcy.
No
Wu, yeah.
Darcy's off with Vision still. They're still trying to get back to the house,
Yeah,
and
that's
Agatha
right.
was preventing them with, you know, school children and construction crews and everything.
Agatha like was showing some of her tricks, and she did she pulled the cicada over, and you and I were probably thinking the same thing, like, this
is gonna be
Mephisto or something? Yeah, it's gonna like, and then she was like, transmutation. So she's demonstrated that she can do shape-shifting. It was funny though, because it was in the context of her being jealous of Wanda's ability to do it like without even thinking about it at the edge of town a mile away, where she's like, it took me years of practice just to be able to like turn a cicada into a bird or whatever.
Something
but you
interesting,
can do it like willy-nilly.
We've talked before, both here, you know, in our reactions and during our live streams with the guys from All New Nerds. We've talked about the mailman.
Yeah.
We had heard a few theories that he might be her son, that he might be the bunny rabbit, because I guess he had a rabbit on his mailman hat or something like that. We'd heard all kinds of theories about him, and this week we saw him as a pizza delivery man, which is just a different type of delivery man. You know, she has a very clear agenda now, based on this episode. She wants this power that Wanda has. We've seen her. She wants all the other witches' power back in the day at Salem, and she's up to the same tricks now. She wants as much power as she can get for herself, and she's never seen power like Wanda's before. And she wants to know what the source is so that she can get it. I think she turned out to be a bigger bad than we expected her to be.
Yeah.
We expected her to be like a run-of-the-mill
like the
witch.
auxiliary bad.
We expected her to be like the chief lieutenant of some bigger bad like Mephisto or Nightmare. And
like a henchwoman.
Right.
Yeah.
To be a sort of run-of-the-mill wicked witch, but I think she turned out to be a much more powerful foe than we were expecting.
Well, currently, but we've also set up this last episode to be insane with all of the different things that are between Hayward and Monica and Wanda and Vision and all of these things that are going to converge down.
The way this show has
presumably a big battle of some kind.
The way this show has gone so far, I'm kind of expecting some big reveal, whether it's an existing character that we know and love or a brand new character who's going to be a villain in, you know, the ongoing MCU. We don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm still kind of, just based on the way things have been, I kind of expect there to be some big character, actor reveal next week. But I think we may have underestimated sort of the power that Agatha has in this dynamic, or you know, and also she might be the ultimate villain of this particular
potentially
show.
Like probably like maybe even the biggest moment of this episode is the finally we got Scarlet Witch.
Oh yes, she dropped the name.
Finally, she got the titles.
So in this,
and Agatha Harkness is the one that gave her the name.
In this version of the universe, she created that moniker. She dropped the name first.
Yeah, it's funny because earlier in the season, Hayward was saying something in S.W.O.R.D. and like there was a moment there where like, oh, he's about to. drop
he
the
was
Scarlet
like,
Witch
does she have a funny name too?
Yeah, and then they didn't. It was a very
it.
strategic tease there, but here that was a well placed name drop. So now it's depending on how Agnes is able to influence Wanda moving forward now. Like, is Wanda gonna like start doing more Wicked Witch stuff because of Agnes, and she's under Agnes's power now? Like that moment when she came outside to like she heard Billy and Tommy screaming, and Agnes had them in the street. Like we don't even know that that's really outside. Like she just showed her multiple realities from her basement. So for all we know, it could still be in Agatha's basement, like, and she's just, dangling fake carrots in front of her.
Well, and this is the thing that's very interesting is that, we've seen a lot of characters within the MCU and also within the X-Men universe who have psychic powers, who can create illusions, convince people, plant thoughts in people's heads or give them delusions or illusions. That's sort of a there are multiple characters.
I'm thinking
who have
of
that
Loki.
Power.
I'm thinking.
Well, right, Loki's a great example
because he's gonna have to come into play again soon.
That's a perfect example because he can create these elaborate illusions that are very, very lifelike. That's not an extraordinary power within this universe, within this world. But what Agatha was stunned by was that Wanda's not just creating an illusion; she's creating something out of nothing.
Yeah.
She's manifesting
She specifically mentioned
actual
that, yeah.
reality.
She's like, you're a being with the power to spontaneous creation.
Spontaneous
Yeah.
creation. She's literally creating something out of nothing, which defies the laws
Yeah.
of the universe.
So that's
it defies
what connects
the
to
laws
her
of
being
physics.
the Nexus being or whatever.
Right.
She's
So we're about to find out
little
more.
godlike abilities.
Exactly. So, you know how I
Creation,
said
yeah.
last week you would need enormous power to control the Nexus. So again, this is something that we talked about during our live stream.
Yeah.
We saw last week a commercial for like Nexus depression medication.
No commercial this week because we didn't have this.
It wasn't it wasn't a TV episode.
So I guess that's the last of the commercials. Yeah.
But you know, Nexus in the comics is like a hub. It's sort of a portal to all possible dimensions, all possible realities. And obviously that's on purpose, and that's going to lead into the multiverse, Doctor Strange, multiverse of madness, the
Spider-Man 3,
Spider-Man
all of it.
3, exactly.
Yeah.
All of these multiverse possibilities are opening up because of that. But I believe that in the comics, it requires a being of enormous power to control that portal, to control travel through that portal. And so there are very, very few people within the MCU as we know it who could manifest that power.
Yeah.
So like Scarlet Witch is obviously one of them.
Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel, potentially Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
And then like people that we know as villains, like, you know, perhaps celestial beings or you know, I don't know, Thanos maybe when he had all the Infinity Stones, but you would need a godlike power to
and Hayward specifically said like, oh, we've tried every power known to man to get this thing going.
We needed
and
something from the source.
So like it's like the Wanda power was the only, like, even more so than any other kind of energy that they have. That's the only stuff that can power the other. Oh yeah, and then one other thing that I thought was significant was it showing Wanda had the deed, and it was a gift from Vision saying like, you know, for the future or whatever, to live in. And to me that was significant because it was like, oh, because Vision up until this point has been kind of like, what are you doing, Wanda? What is all this? And, you know, to me it shows that like it isn't just her being selfish and doing what she wants. Like this was actually his.
It was for them.
He envisioned them living in this home doing these things, and she
built it for them. It was
his promise.
It's
for
his
him. Yeah.
his gift to her. But it was like their dream home.
Yeah.
That was just so dark and so heavy. I mean, like the deep sort of tragic irony of
but
that.
It's
and then
great
she
though, because that is the moment that Agatha
foundation.
was waiting to see, and then we saw her go full Scarlet Witch there, and like we saw her turn Westview into 1950s Dick Van Dykeville. And
this is why this is such good
yet again,
TV,
though. We saw Dottie's husband putting up the piano poster. We didn't see Dottie
the
again.
piano
so
poster.
At this point,
poor guy.
it's almost like Dottie kind of was like like, why'd they make her seem so important in the first couple episodes? Like she was the head
possibly
witch.
another red herring. We don't know. This show is full of them. But I mean,
even Agatha had that, like, you want to get in good in this town, you got to get in
with her.
Like,
She's the queen. She's the mean queen.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, we have potentially a really long episode in the last episode coming up. We're probably going to get, you know, more than we're even expecting to get. So maybe that answer will still be. It's still coming, and we obviously still know like Mephisto reveal.
They have got
like
so much to wrap up. We got to see the launch of alternate vision. Catch up with Monica and Pietro and find out what's going to happen with that situation. We have to find out where he came from, who controlled his journey through the Nexus, through the dimensions. We got to find out if anybody besides Catherine Hahn is pulling the evil strings here. We got to figure out what's going to happen with this alternate vision and potentially see the Vision versus Vision battle. We got all these little and the kids, like we've got like half a dozen storylines to wrap up.
At the end of the day, though,
next week.
It's easy to sort of think of this in context of WandaVision, but at the same time, it's like they don't need to wrap everything up because like they have so many other stories to tell.
Because Doctor Strange is coming and like half of these actors are already in it. So this storyline is going to continue, but I mean, there's still a lot that they need to deal with in the context of this show. Right, next week, or potentially a secret extra episode.
I had said to you yesterday, like, one of the most enjoyable parts of Infinity War was like the definitive, the good guys didn't win. This is the bad guy won this movie. That's awesome.
This throws an additional wrench in the works of like.
Could they do that here?
Well, not only that, but who is a good guy and who is a bad guy?
Yeah.
With Wanda, the lines are blurred.
Yeah. Is this show going to end with her being like like an antagonist to some of these other characters like Monica Rambeau and potentially even Vision.
But I think it really that shows us that even good people with good intentions are capable of doing bad things, and I hope that the message is that people are redeemable. And I think that will be. I feel good about that possibility. Yeah. But I mean, that really it adds a complexity to it.
Property. They're not.
It's a comic.
They're not trying to like break children's hearts and
exactly.
They want to.
But I mean, that really adds a depth and complexity to what was already a complex idea that the good guys don't always win every battle.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes this show such good television is that we get all the special effects, we get fight scenes, we get magic, we get all the stuff that we come here to see. In this case, it keeps us guessing, and the genre thing has kept us on our toes. But the emotional moments, the real connection and relationships between characters, they really hit.
Yeah.
They really when they get those scenes right, it's good acting, it's good writing, like it's good performance. Those scenes really hit home.
Yeah, there was this episode was like all of that. There were a bunch of scenes like that. Particularly the one where Wanda was just sitting in her room and Vision came in and they were watching TV together. And
it's
then
the one flashback that she observed rather than participating.
Where at first he had to ask her like, "Oh, why is that funny?" And she couldn't really because he's a robot. But then he went ahead and laughed himself at the next joke. Yeah. And that was their moment to like break the the tension, and it made
that was such a cute scene. It made me think of like a high school movie where it's like the goth girl and a like computer geek or something. It was like a great romantic like high school movie in a way, and it was super awkward but just very endearing, and again it was very cinematic in that way. I could imagine that being a scene apart from the weird makeup. I could imagine that just being a scene out of like some movie from my teenage years.
I had pointed out that it reminded me of the scene in Edward Scissorhands where Edward's maker gives him a heart or whatever and then teaches him it's okay to laugh, this is a joke, and then he teaches him to, and that like that could be significant because it's about sort of like the Vision is a robot and she's recreated this artificial Vision, and now there's but at the same time like his personhood is in question, his what exactly makes Vision other than like the sentient weapon aspect of him and the he in that Edward Scissorhands aspect of like giving him a heart or whatever, making him a person, enabling him to laugh at a joke. Those kind of things are important.
He talked in that scene, the other scene that I loved, the super sort of slow-paced emotional scene that I loved last week between Vision and Darcy in the truck, which was like my favorite scene in the whole episode. There was this sort of comedic exposition moment where he was like, so my original programming was an AI known as Jarvis. Yeah. And, with the Vision, when he first manifested, when he first integrated in Age of Ultron, he was all of those things. Like he's all of them, but he's more than the sum of his parts. Mm-hmm. He is Jarvis. He is has had the experiences of Ultron to some extent. He is this vibranium shell, but he is literally more than the sum of his parts. He has this this consciousness. Maybe that's part Infinity Stone, but it's also it's part him. He has a personality. He's him. And so this idea of like, if consciousness is equal to personhood, what does that mean for the Vision that we know in this show? He doesn't have the consciousness of the old Vision. He has he's 2.0. He has his own version of that. Yeah. I don't know. It poses a lot of really interesting questions about what that means, like what that means for the relationship between these characters moving forward.
And you had also said it in a bunch of other episodes about how like the sitcom stuff was like, oh, that was her only memory of like a normal life, and that's why she's built this construct around that. But
I wasn't far off.
We also saw that it's not just like her, the happy stuff, but it's also directly correlated to she was watching Dick Van Dyke when the house blew up.
They took the cute thing I said that this is like her only reference point for a normal life and turned it dark.
Yeah.
So it's basically like, yes, this is like a happy memory for her, but it's also the source of all of her trauma.
Yeah.
It's the place where all of this began, like the night that the bomb went off, literally. But it's also the thing that's been a constant for her through all these changes in her life. She's always, every single one of those scenes, she's watching a sitcom in the background. Mm-hmm. So, it's, that is kind of like her happy place in her head, but super dark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, crazy, man. This is the last episode. I mean, I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that it's going to be like a double episode, maybe like an hour or even an hour and a half. Who knows? This was 45 minutes as opposed to like 35 minutes.
We could potentially get a feature-length episode.
But I think considering how much we need to wrap up, and like we were talking about, we need a long episode for this last episode.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to it. So we're actually we're gonna stop discussing now because we want to try and think about it, and then we'll do some discussion on a live stream hopefully this weekend with the guys from All New Nerds again. Hopefully on Saturday. We'll put that up as soon as we figure it out. So please let us know what you guys thought about this episode in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.